are three major components of your preparation. I will talk about all three of them. One is this personal questions. Now, what is this personal questions that I'm talking about? This is alright. Personal questions do not just mean HR questions. By personal questions, what I mean is everything about you. Everything about you means it can be HR questions. It can be questions like your introduction, your hobbies, your strengths, your family background, your academics. People. Yeah, that is the reason why I wanted to clarify this. By personal questions, you at times think that it is all those HR questions. So HR questions is one part of personal questions. If I'm discussing your hobbies, that is a personal question. That is a personal question because I'm not discussing my hobbies, I'm discussing your hobbies. If I'm discussing mechanical engineering with you, now that is a personal question in the sense that it's specific to you, right? So if you look at 2 and 3 here, 2 and 3 would be common to all. But if you talk about 1 here, that is this personal question thing, they'll be specific to you. So it's everything about you. It can be your hometown, it can be your parents, it can be your academic background, it can be your hobbies, it can be absolutely anything related to you. It can be your gap years. Many of you have a problem with the gap year. How do I justify it? How do I justify this? It can be your work experience. It can be absolutely anything. So one part, there will be 3 things for a bank interview. It will be different for different interviews. First part would be personal questions. Think about yourself first. Now we have done all of this previously, but still I'm just kind of giving you the essence of it. Think about yourself. What are you? Fine. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm 24 years old. I've been sitting home for 2 years. This is my reality. Fine. Build a story around it. What have you been doing in these 2 years? Think about yourself. Give it some time. Introspect. Think, irrespective of what you have done, not done till now. Think about this. What is my story? I'm a mechanical engineer. I completed my engineering 2 years back. I did not opt for a job because I wanted to get into a bank. Unfortunately, I could not crack it. Now it's 2 years after my engineering, and here I am today. Build a story. Build a solid story. What is the meaning of the story? Story means मैंने स्कूल में ये पढ़ा, कॉलेज में ये पढ़ा, फिर 2 साल खाली बैठ के प्रिपेयर किया, एंड हियर आई एम. नाउ थिंक अबाउट व्हाट ऑल कैन दे आस्क यू. थिंक अबाउट इट. क्या पूछेंगे? दे कैन आस्क यू अबाउट योर स्कूलिंग, योर होम टाउन, योर पेरेंट्स, mechanical engineering, your work experience. Why did you sit idle when many of your batchmates would be working? A very important question for you, not for somebody else probably. Fine. Things like, could you not prepare along with a job? Many people do that. We have interviewed 5 people today who were working and still preparing alongside. Why could you not have done that? Number 3, you are a mechanical engineer. What do you have to do in a bank? क्या करोगे बैंक में? Would your study not be a complete waste? Things like that. Now, I'm not answering these questions because there are no standard answers to these questions. So, anybody who's expecting me to answer a question like this for you, well, that's an incorrect expectation. Even if I give you a well-formulated, good answer, you'll not be able to justify that in an interview when cross-questioned because that is not your line of thought. No, that is mine. I can justify that, you cannot. So, the way to form these answers, all these answers, and this questioning, this line of questioning can be, there is no limit to it. I cannot give you a list of questions that can be asked to a mechanical engineer, that's you. So there can be another mechanical engineer who is somebody else, that that number of questions, so that set of questions would change for the person. So think of yourself as a person, including education background and all the other stuff, and think what all can they ask me, and then prepare accordingly. After this, if you look at this one, point number 2 and point number 3, this would be common to all. This would be banking awareness and current affairs. Now, since this is a bank interview, banking awareness becomes important. All of you understand that. But the question that generally people ask us is, sir, कितना depth में जाना है? And this is a very valid question. This is a valid question in the sense कि यार आप banker नहीं हो ना already. So, if you ask me honestly, in a slightly less populated country, you could have got away with not knowing any banking awareness because people could have said, sir, I possess the aptitude to do it, right? I'm an educated person. You can see my credentials and all. You teach me, I'll learn banking, fine. But the problem here in this country is that for 2,000 odd seats, there will be more than 1 million candidates, and some of those people would go prepared with banking awareness. So if they prepare, and I get candidate who is prepared, you lose out, and that is the reason you have to prepare. So you do not have a choice, fine. Fortunately, unfortunately, whatever, you do not have a choice, and they get some people who are already aware and who are not uninitiated, right? So that is the reason you have to prepare and not have a choice. But kitna depth mein jana hai, will tell you. Sameer has already done a playlist on this. All of you who have seen our sessions already know that. Do that. Apart from it, there is a small PDF, the link to which is again there in my Facebook post, in which I have shared that. You need to know all those answers. And in this session, in the first session today, for probably the first and the last time, we're going to discuss what all you need to prepare in banking awareness, to what depth you need to go. The same thing would be true for this third point. I mean, if you look at this third one, current affairs, again it's the same thing. कोई लिमिट नहीं है, करंट अफेयर्स का बिल्कुल ही कोई लिमिट नहीं है. They can ask you absolutely anything.
So just try to understand. Generally, you'll not be expected only the repo and reverse repo. They are part of liquidity adjustment facility, right? So you have to know a little more. What is CRR? What is SLR? What are the components of SLR? Okay. I have just given you some PLR, BPLR, base rate, MCLR. Do you know all four? What is the difference? When did they come into existence? Why did things change? Okay. Why the current MCLR, is it really? Then, when I as an interviewer will see that you know the basics, right? Only then I will, kind of go in depth. Here I'll digress a little from this banking related. If you see, we have selected you basis your response on, tell us something about yourself. That's most likely going to be your first answer. And many of you got rejected on the first attempt because you just did not take it seriously. That was the question where you generate interest. Why are we doing it? What do I get by spending hours and hours reading 1500 to 2000 forms? What do I get in return? I just see whether you have that spark in you or not, whether you are able to excite your interviewers or not, right? That was the reason to give that question, and basis that you wanted to spend time with people who are really serious, who are willing to go ahead with things that we are telling you. Everything will boil down to interest. Now, if I'm not able to tell whether repo rate and reverse repo rate are components of LAF, will you think interviewers will even ask me further question there? If I'm not able to say what MCLR is, will he be interested in knowing my opinion about is MCLR better than the base rate? Yeah, so that will happen once he sees that you have the basic foundation, you have the basic knowledge. Interview will start only after, there are 10, 15, 20, candidates sitting there, and there is someone who is already impressed. And then I see a candidate, you might have got, 120 there in your written test, but you could not generate that interest in me. And I see, unprepared है लड़का यार, ये मतलब क्यों आ गया फिर ये इंटरव्यू में? या तो ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट है या अनप्रिपेयर्ड है. Either case, I do not want him, right? So you have to know these things in a little depth. Okay, so now I'll just give you an example. Another, what is bank rate and repo rate? What is the difference between bank rate and repo rate? How is it different from, say, margin standing facility? So when you are reading these banking terms which are there in the public domain, okay, I am not asking you to give me Basel 3 all the requirement for the 3 pillars of Basel. If you know, it's very good. As Abhishek sir said, unfortunately, fortunately, we are so many people there. If someone impresses, then that becomes my minimum expectation. पहला अभिषेक सर ने इंटरव्यू दिया, उन्होंने Basel 3 के तीनों पिलर बता दिए. उसके बाद के just think what happens when the next candidate goes in. So you have to give your best. Anything which is there in the public domain, please don't take it lightly. Okay. So just when you're doing this preparation, do it thoroughly. Anything in the public domain, we have to do it. I think I have given you a 8-page PDF, which is also there in the link shared about all the questions that we expect you to answer. Just go through those. I'll update them. I'll add more questions to it, but they are the basic. If you do not understand that means there is problem. You still don't feel for the banking and economics part. A question can be asked, right? It's a very simple question today. Even the Aadhaar Act, etc. All these things will get connected. Is India becoming a surveillance state? Whatever. Yogi, tell me. Is India becoming a surveillance state? How do you answer? Yeah. How do you answer that? Please try to understand always that Buddha's path to nirvana is the middle path. Okay. Never take extreme stance, even if you're you have that bent towards, say, anti-government or pro-government. Try to be neutral here. Don't form extreme opinion. Stay positive. Try to see everything will have positive and negatives, right? And then walk that path. Show the positive. Show the demerits there, the merits, and then kind of conclude. Surveillance, you can just start like this. I'll just give you an example answer here. Surveillance, sir, I understand our neighbors are not very friendly, so unfortunately we have to start with this surveillance. It's a basically a cost benefit ratio between privacy and security that we all understand. Government thinks that the national security is paramount, which we as the citizens should also say respect that view. But at the same time, there is also about privacy. Absolute power corrupts. And if this surveillance is taken out of proportion with some agenda other than the national security, then this is a threat to everyone. So privacy, we understand it's not an absolute right. It's with reasonable limit. Supreme Court has judgment over it, but I still feel the current scenario as it is in its current state is not the right way. I think there can be improvement. There can be judicial oversight, which is currently missing. Only it's currently bureaucratic. If the executive wants a surveillance on something, joint secretary can just sign, and we can have they can just order a surveillance. But we think what I personally think is there should be more judicial oversight. It should be made constitutional. The parliamentary oversight should be there. People who are making law should make it uniform, and it should be transparent. It should not be vague. It should always come with say a lot of accountability on people who are asking for surveillance, and it has to be done in the right way and for the right purpose. That's it. That's enough. You are not saying anything wrong about it. You are saying in its current state, it is not in the good form. There can be some changes so that the apprehension people have about this privacy can be taken care of. That is what you need to do. Where you don't have to go, you do not have to start with the Telegraph Act, the Telephone Act, the Electronic Surveillance Act of 2001, and then Supreme Court has a ruling in 1997, wherein they give a strict guideline that at least before even joint secretary was not needed. Just imagine if anyone in the executive branch wanted to go ahead with the surveillance, they could do it. But at least from 97, they took care of it. It's still very bureaucratic and opaque and vague. You don't have to get into that acts, etc., and all the Supreme Court judgment. If you have, you just tell them simple thing that privacy and security both are important. You can also say, to some degree, I will say the safety of my country is more important than my safety. I understand, but it should not be misused. Okay, if you kind of put it like that, and let us try to make it a more robust mechanism wherein the surveillance happens under proper judicial oversight or parliamentary oversight, under constitution, for good purpose and in correct way. That's enough.
Let me just add something here, because when Samir was speaking, I was just reading the comments. So somebody said, if you are taking the not an extreme stand, it means that you do not have an opinion of yourself. No, it does not mean that. I'll give an example. Let's say for a moment that I believe that Brian Lara is the best batsman of all time. Okay? I believe that, and there is a very close friend of mine who used to always argue with me in early 2000s that yes, it's Lara and not Tendulkar. Let's say I believe that. I say that to the panel, and the panel says, no, my friend, you are no. That's not the answer. How can Brian Lara be the best batsman? What do you know from that immediately? You understand that this guy is not going to take my Brian Lara thing. What would you do? You'll say, sir, there are others as well who are like very good. Take for example a Ricky Ponting or a Sachin Tendulkar. I appreciate all of them. They are wonderful. But I think Lara stands out when it comes to 1, 2, and 3. What did you tell them? You told them that you are being objective, that you are open to feedback, that you analyze stuff, that you are not you're not a fanatic. Lara to Lara, Hinduism to Hinduism, and Modi ji to Modi ji. No, that is not the stand you have to take. You have to tell them why you support Modi ji. You have to tell them why is Brian Lara your favorite cricketer, and you have to appear as if you are open to listen to others. Is it too difficult? No, you have to work on your answers and it will come naturally to you. अब बहुत सारे लोग इसको कंफ्यूज करते हैं. आप डिप्लोमैटिक हो, नहीं, डिप्लोमेसी नहीं है ये. You're just telling them that I do have my opinion, but I am willing to listen to what you have got to say. What is the problem with that? Think about it. You'll understand. बहुत ही सिंपल सा एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको दिया इस चीज को समझाने के लिए. So if you think that India is actually going overboard with surveillance, you think there is a little invasion into privacy of citizens' lives and all this biometric data captured by Aadhaar and whatnot. You have to say that, but if the panel seems to be of the opinion, or they might be testing you that all this is necessary, you have got a rogue state as our neighbor, so it's important. So you can say, yes sir, I understand it's very important, but we have to take certain precautions when we're doing such things, but it should not come to a state wherein I'm scared of putting in something on my Facebook wall because I'm scared of getting a random call from somebody threatening me. You made your point, isn't it? Try and understand. There is a fine line between being radical or being an extremist and being logical. एकदम से क्रॉस हो जाता है. The moment you say मैं तो सपोर्टर ला रहा ही रहूंगा, कुछ भी आप कर लो, बात ही खत्म हो जाएगी वहां पर. तो listen to the panel, try and understand what they're trying to say. तो जब हम दोस्तों के बीच में बात चल रही होती है, it does not make a difference. मैं बोल सकता हूँ, बहस में बोल सकता हूँ. समीर बोल रहा ला रहा, मैं बोल रहा तेंदुलकर है यार, छोड़, नहीं बात करेंगे कल सुबह तक, उनके साथ नहीं चलेगा. अंडरस्टैंड दैट एंड देन यू विल नॉट नीड टू आस्क सर मैं कहां तक जाऊं. समझ रहे हो? आपको खुद ही समझ में आ जाएगा. नो, दिस साउंड्स रीजनेबल, दिस साउंड्स लॉजिकल, एंड यू हैव टू कम अक्रॉस एज समबडी हु एनालाइजेस स्टफ एंड इज लॉजिकल व्हेन इज टेकिंग स्टैंड. सो यू माइट से इट इज अ लारा फॉर यू, बट इफ देयर इज समथिंग गुड अबाउट तेंदुलकर, यू एक्नॉलेज दैट एज वेल. आई होप दैट आंसर्स इट.
But guys, take it seriously. Take this opportunity that you have been provided with. Take this seriously. Prepare well. Likho yaar, answers likho. See, frame your answers. Once you thought you frame, then the next stage will come where you start cross-questioning yourself, and you will know to what depth I need to study and to what 3 or 4 layers of question I should anticipate and be prepared with. If you do that, you will come out with flying colors. Trust me, that's how all interviews are prepared. Taken many, given many, and as Abhishek sir mentioned, they are looking for a spark in you. Give them a reason. इतनी सारी चीजें अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करोगे, you will come out as someone who is interesting. If some of you have time, go through that RBI playlist that I have done, wherein talk about economics and finance, how things work. It'll change your mindset.
Needless to say, it's going to help you. I mean, if you help yourself, know yourself better, then you're going to do well in the interview as well. दोनों चीजें बहुत closely connected. I'm not saying, the idea is to crack the interview. That's all right. But if you work on your personality in these next 25-30 days, whatever time you've got, it's going to help you a great deal in an interview. Idea वही होता है ना. So you cannot bluff. You cannot. If you're not smart, you cannot make them believe you're smart in a matter of 10-15 days. So work on some things and then you can actually be smart. So if you have to develop opinion on a few issues, do that now. You've got ample time, prepare hard. So some of you, I can see those sad smileys saying, sir मुझे तो पता ही नहीं, नहीं पता. Okay, ठीक है. But फिर से वही बोलूंगा, वो गलती मत करना जो मैंने करी. मुझे पता था, मुझे नहीं पता, and still I did not study or work on it. Now there is somebody who's telling you constantly and keep reminding you every day. Fine. पता करो, and it is not something that you're a commerce graduate, I'm asking you to study समीर की केमिस्ट्री पढ़ के आओ. नहीं पूछेगा, सीरियसली नहीं पूछेगा. अगर पूछता है ना तो बोलना सर पता नहीं, कुछ अच्छा पूछो, मतलब ऐसे मत बोलना, बट बोलना कि सर
वो भी करके दिखाएंगे.
We'll tell you, because the idea at times is to grill you. We'll enact all this, do not worry, that is the agenda. But you have to handle such questions and they'll be reasonable. So if you do not answer a question on chemistry, you're a commerce graduate, बोलेंगे 9th standard तो पढ़ी होगी, बोलना सर याद नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं करेंगे. They're just checking how you respond to it. So there are things like that. So they'll be reasonable, but you have to be reasonable while studying or while working for it.